let's understand the concept of levers. Now for your arm, leg or any body part to move, the appropriate muscles, bones should work together as a series of levers. Now, a lever consists of a fulcrum or an axis, and it consists of a load and effort. Now the fulcrum or the axis is the point about which the lever rotates, okay? And the load or the resistance is the force exerted by the lever. The effort or the resistance is the force applied by the person who is using the lever. So the distance between the load and the fulcrum is known as the load arm, and the distance between the fulcrum or the axis and the effort is known as the effort arm. Now this concept is very important to understand physical fitness, because our joints work in the same manner. Like this principle, this concept is applicable in fitness science, and also when you in selection criteria of exercises, it's important to understand this concept, and also while selecting of equipments, gym equipments. So the gym equipments also are designed in such a way keeping this into consideration. That is how the designing is made. So even selecting of equipments and selecting of your workout is based on the concept of levers. I'll talk about it. Now we'll understand the different class of lever. Class 1, class 2 and class 3. So the class 1 lever is in which the fulcrum is in between the load, that is the resistance, and the effort, that is the force applied. So here the fulcrum, the axis is in center. It's in between these two. And this is applicable in the human body joints, and that is the reason we are discussing on this. So class 1 lever example is the atlanto-occipital joint, which is here, okay, and the neck muscles, the posterior part of the neck muscles, that is holding your neck, okay, holding your neck backwards, okay, that force is the trapezius muscle. So this is the trapezius muscle. It is continuously holding your neck back and avoiding your neck from your head from falling down, in the sense leaning forward. So the head, okay, that is the resistance or the load, that is the head, and the joint, that's the axis of the fulcrum, that's the atlanto-occipital joint, and the force here is the trapezius muscles. And that is the reason we focus on training of every body part, every muscle should be trained, and that's because of this reason. So if you're doing leg workouts or arm workouts and bicep workouts, but you're avoiding the trapezius workout, that's the back muscles and the upper back muscles, neck muscles, then you're definitely going to have muscle imbalances. Next is the class 2 lever, which is the axis is at one end and the force is at another end, and the resistance is in between. Here the calf muscle, which is the force, the calf muscle working through the Achilles tendon, and the weight of the body centered at the midfoot is the load, and the axis of the fulcrum is the joint, which is the metatarsophalangeal joint. And this joint has an advantage that less effort can be used, and you can do the movement. So that's the reason when we do calf raises, okay, standing calf raises, you will always notice that the person can go for very heavy poundage, okay. That's because of the advantage of this lever system. Because of this, you can go for very, very heavy poundage doing calf raises, and the effort is very less. But it has its disadvantage where the range of motion is very limited. You cannot go for a very high range of motion. Now we'll discuss on class 3 lever. In class 3 lever, the axis is at one end and the resistance is at another end. The force acts in between. Now the example is the elbow joint is the fulcrum and the bicep brachii muscle is the force exerted, and the resistance is the weight of the arm and the weight held in the palm. Like it could be a barbell or a dumbbell or any weight for that matter. So that is the load which is held in the arm, and the fulcrum is the elbow joint. So most of the joints in the human body are class 3 levers, and this has an advantage because the range of motion is greater, but the effort that has to be applied is a lot. Now I'll give you all an example that since we have discussed on this concept of levers, okay, I'll give you an example of an exercise which is the lateral raises. The lateral raises, if I do it without a machine, just free with the dumbbell, okay, I do the lateral raises. Now I'll have to put in some amount of effort to do this. But if I use this advantage of understanding, this concept of lever system, and I decrease the load arm. Now this is the load arm. Here's the weight in my arm, in my palm, and I'm doing the lateral raises. But if there's a machine in the gym, that equipment where I need to, you put the support here on your elbow, okay, and you do the lateral raises, okay. So the resistance is over here, okay, on your arm, and you do the lateral raises. So in this case, you're decreasing the load arm. That's a machine lateral raises where the resistance is above the elbow, above on the arm, okay. To do this exercise, it becomes very easier and you can go for heavier poundage. And especially this is important because people who are recovering from an injury of the shoulder and they've just started their workout, or a beginner has come to the gym, then definitely it's advisable to go for machine lateral raises where the resistance is over here, because the load arm is decreased and it becomes more convenient to do it in compared to the dumbbell standing lateral raises. And this is the reason it is important to understand the concept of this levers to select the right workout and also to select the right machines in the gym.